As believers, we have to remember that anything that comes to us as a shock, as a hard change, as an unexpected turn, these are all for our growth. The things that he held as top priority in his life, they didn't help him anymore. They didn't even matter to him. We always need God, but in these times of trial, we feel it. You may remember in June of 2024 that Dr. Jonathon Evans announced he would be stepping away from his pastoral duties due to an unnamed sin that he had committed some years ago. At that time, I addressed this news, and nothing has been made public since then that I've seen. But Jonathon Evans, his son, just released a video where he reflects on the impact of his father's decision on himself and on the other family members. And Jonathon said it was a punch in his gut. Welcome to Morning Tea. Hello, I'm Joanne, Jolee, and I'm so glad you're here. So Jonathon Evans is a former pro football player on several NFL teams. He now serves as chaplain for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's also an associate pastor at Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship, where his father served as senior pastor until he stepped down.
So yeah, when my dad stepped down, it was a punch to the gut for me and my siblings. We was, wait, what? When my mom passed away, it was like different. Hurtful.
This had painful impact, and in his video post, Jonathon speaks openly about how he navigated these rough waters that threw him off course in his life. And he shares how he was able to recalibrate through his faith and finding refuge in God.
2024, in the summer, my dad took a step back from ministry. It was a shock to a lot of people, shock to us when he told us that he was going to take a step back from ministry, go to a time of healing and restoration, a time that he needs, and again, we're all praying for his restoration, recovery, restore, and for him to be fully back, doing what he loves to do and what he's called to do. But for me, it was a sharp change. It was a sharp change, and I personally was just, figuring it out. I was just figuring it out. I was just figuring out, okay, who am I going to be? What are we going to do? How is it going to work? God, what's going on? All of the different things that you try to figure out when you have a sharp change in your life, when there's a corner that turns that you're not expecting. And then you kind of feel like you're in a position where you need to recalibrate, like you're trying to reset, like you're trying to reset your settings, because your settings have been set. Like I had to reset when my mom passed away, and then the situation with my dad stepping back. He's been doing it since I was born, so I don't know anything different. So it's one of those things where you kind of reset, recalibrate, and try to reorganize all the settings that have been set for so long. And when you're doing that, you go through different, up, down swings, emotional phases, thoughts.
As believers, we have to remember that anything that comes to us as a shock, as a hard change, as an unexpected turn, these are all for our growth. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And this is that difficult path, that necessary path that we have to go to reach maturity, to have everything in Christ. And we need to figure out how to consider these shocks as pure joy.
For those who have experienced a resetting of your mind, whether somebody's passed away or whether something has changed in your life, or where you recently got a divorce, or a child has gone wayward, or something tragic has happened, or there's just some type of resetting that needs to happen. I want to just give you an encouragement that encouraged me and stabilized me when those settings were kind of going all over the place. And that came from Psalm 46. So I've got it with me today because I don't want to miss any words. It says, God is our refuge and strength, our very present help in time of trouble. And I remember reading that soon after I learned about my dad's decision to step back, step down from his role for a time of healing and restoration. God is our refuge.
So what did Jonathon do? Through this time of testing, he did the right thing. He turned to the Lord for his refuge.
I realized at that point that money didn't really matter. Like when my mom died, it was the same thing. It was like, what's money? I mean, I want my mom back, or I want things to be the same, with my dad. I want him to be preaching the word, doing what he does. at a high level. So money's not the refuge because it couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't pay my way out. Like there was nothing I could do. My education wasn't my refuge. My abilities were not my refuge. The things that I accomplished in the past were not my refuge. Like the plaques on the wall were not my refuge. Like there was nothing physical that I could reach to or look for or grab hold of that could actually give me a feeling of restoration, a feeling of understanding, a feeling of okay, we're okay. That can help me understand whose hands this sit in. And of course, I had the knowledge, but sometimes you have the knowledge of something, but when you go read the Bible, you're like, I needed to read that because it was God saying, oh, I'm your refuge. So in this time where you're looking to try to figure out how to stabilize the settings, that's me. I'm the stabilizer. I'm the one who does those things. So that let me know that I need to chase harder after God and not as hard after some of the things I was chasing after some of the things I was trying to like accomplishments, things we're trying to do, all of those different things. When you hit a point where you need refuge, you're like, oh, that don't matter. Like all of a sudden you realize what matters when there's a sharp turn or your settings have to be reset or you feel yourself in a pattern where you're not able to come out of it, wherever you are.
So in that place of destabilization, as he described it, he had a perspective reset. The things that he held as top priority in his life, they didn't help him anymore. They didn't even matter to him. He was forced to look elsewhere. And that's when he had that realization that he needed God. We always need God, but in these times of trial, we feel it.
So basically he's saying, come to me. I'm your refuge, but I'm also your strength. I'm the one who builds you back up. So guys, we got to go back to his word. We have to go back to the community. We have to go back to prayer, but also walking in it and believing it and putting our heart on the leash and letting it catch up to the truth that we know. Because he's saying, I'm the one who builds you back up. I'm strong when you are weak. I'm the one who allows you to stand when your knees are shaking and your hands are sweaty and you're not sure how you're going to make it. And so you say, well, I've heard this before. I understand this and I know this, but do you?
Jonathon lists 3 very, very important things. Get back to the word, get back to the community of believers for the support and the edification and the encouragement. This is what we do for one another. And of course, to get back to prayer. He is so right about all these critical things. And I know this is a spiritual reset. At times, we all need this as we go through our faith journey. We experience a need for spiritual renewal. We may feel disconnected. We may feel worn out, floating, adrift, lost. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We might even feel very distant from the presence of God. And it's in these moments we come to those powerful realizations that our spirit needs revival, that a shift is necessary. And this is the call. This is the call to reconnect, to rediscover our purpose in God and to center ourselves once again in the life-giving truth of God's word and prayer. This is the time to reignite the passion, the first love that we had that perhaps has gone away. And God is stirring us, whether it's because we wandered off, we got hit by life's trials, or God's just trying to get our attention and force growth in us. Like a pruning, it's the same pathway forward. And I'm going to say it again. Get back to the word, get back to the community of believers for the encouragement and the edification, and back to prayer. Jonathon found his refuge in Psalm 46, which begins with scenes of the worst chaos. God is our refuge and strength, and ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear. Though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. Just imagine any of those scenes of chaos, a hurricane, volcanoes erupting, an earthquake, the ground just literally moving under your feet. You don't even know if you're going to be able to stand. And God says, don't fear. And further, he says, be still and know that I'm God. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress.
Don't fear. I'm here. Very present. I'm your strength and your refuge. I got it. So you can get up every day with a God confidence, not a human arrogance. God's got it. So I know what I have to face, but God is very present with me. I trust that. And he said, do not fear. So if he tells me not to be afraid, that means there's nothing to be afraid of.
I hope you found some encouragement in Jonathan's message. I certainly did. And I appreciated this young man sharing something so personal. He has been shaken by the passing of his mother and the shock of seeing his father removed from the only place he's ever known him to be. But he did the right thing. He looked to the Lord for his help, for his refuge. I don't know him, but I imagine that his faith has been strengthened through these trials.
And so I need you to understand that God is with you. He's with you even though you don't feel like he's with you. He's very with you. You know, when I say something sweet or very sweet, it's different. You understand that. When I say something is, you know, they're mean or very mean, like you're like, oh. God is telling you, I'm not present. I'm very present. We should be like, oh. Well, because he said it. You're talking about how you feel based on your circumstances. I'm not talking about that. When my dad stepped back from ministry and stepped down from the pulpit, I needed this. I needed to know God is my refuge. God is my strength, and he's very present.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, look for the blessings because they are all around you. Bye-bye.